The S&P just had its biggest drop since April, and it's not because of inflation, oil, or the Fed. It's because the US and China just fired the first shots of a new trade war over something most investors have never even heard of. China just tightened its export controls on rare earth minerals, the metals inside your iPhone, EV motor, and every missile defense system on Earth. And in response, Trump just announced a 100% tariff on Chinese imports starting November 1st. And so the result was that markets tanked, volatility spiked, and the rare earth sector suddenly became the most important chessboard in global finance. And so in this video, we're breaking down exactly what's happening, why these minerals are the oil of the AI era, who stands to profit, and the stocks that could quietly 2 to 3x as this unfolds. This is Dr. Stop Loss, where we treat your portfolio before it flatlines, guys. And so let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about these puppies right here. Look pretty nice, don't they? I particularly like this one. I like this one. This one's kind of nice. You see that over there? Yeah. That's a good one. This one's kind of cool. So these are your rare earth minerals. It's a group of 17 chemical elements found in the periodic table, specifically in the lanthanide series. And so we'll get into what these are and what implications these have for your portfolio. Basically, Trump announced a 100% tariff on Chinese imports, effective on November 1st, after China's new rare export controls. Rare earth export controls. China supplies 90% of global processed rare earths, which are vital for tech, defense, and clean energy. S&P 500 went down a full 2%, the steepest drop since April 2025. AMD, Broadcom, and other chip stocks slid. And so Beijing was retaliating with new port fees on US ships and an anti-monopoly probe into Qualcomm, which really hit it hard, you can see there. Gold's up, oil's down, Bitcoin's doing Bitcoin stuff, going up and down and all around. And VIX is at a 4-month high, up in like the low 20s there. Government is in the shutdown. This was like around Friday. Today is like day 13 or 14, so that's wrong, but it's day 13, 14. It delays official data. Markets are watching the Fed for direction, which there's a bunch of Fed stuff going on this week. As you can see, Powell talked today, CPI tomorrow, jobless claims on Thursday, unemployment on Friday. So analysts are expecting slower Q3 earnings growth as financial firms are preparing results. And so this was the market on Monday after all this stuff happened on Friday. Basically, I'll get into the tweet that Trump put out, but he was basically saying like, oh, it's all good, guys. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's all good. Yeah, the president, he just made a mistake. And so it ended up looking like this, a very green Monday. But then the next day, it's today. This was today. So just to take note of a few things, chips were not looking great, except for AMD. They had their little Oracle deal, despite Oracle being down. Financials is important right now because this is earnings for them this week. It's good to look out for them. Big tech and a lot of the Mag 7 was down here. Otherwise just kind of flat or not really moving much. So that's what kind of happened today. So what has China announced? And so let's get into this. An announcement number 61 of 2025. That's actually kind of low for China. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. But China said it was increasing export controls for 5 rare metals in addition to the 7 it announced in April this year. 5 metals added to the list are holmium, erbium, thulium, europium, and ytterbium. Sorry if I butchered it. Sovereign minerals, China placed export restrictions on earlier this year: samarium, gadolinium, terbium, dysprosium, lutetium, scandium, and yttrium. Additionally, China also placed restrictions on the export of specialist technological equipment used to refine rare earth metals on Thursday. Most of these restrictions will come into effect on December 1st. The announcement means that foreign companies will need to obtain special approvals, I'll highlight that, special approvals from Beijing if they wish to export rare earth magnets and certain semiconductor materials that have at least 0.1% heavy rare earth metals from China. To obtain the license, foreign companies must explain the intended use of the product they wish to make using Chinese rare earth metals. It's kind of a doozy. So, what does Trump do? He hits them with the 100% tariff. This is his tweet on Sunday after this happened, after it was found out with the export controls. He says, "Don't worry about China, it'll all be fine. Highly respected President Xi just had a bad moment. He doesn't want depression for his country, and neither do I. USA wants to help China, not hurt it. And oh yeah, by the way, I believe that China purposefully is not buying our soybeans and causing difficulty for our soybean farmers. Soybean farmers is an economically hostile act, all capital letters. We are considering terminating business with China having to do with cooking oil and other elements of trade as retribution. And so he goes on to say some more, but this is kind of what happened today. And so it's kind of brought about some fears that there's going to be more volatility entering the market. And so in summary here, just real quick, market casualties and volatility surge, tech stocks plummet. That was on Friday. And they're still in kind of a weird place after, what's been going on. Volatility has peaked. Yes, VIX has spiked. It's highest level since June, actually. So there's some anxiety. And the commodities react. So gold, Jesus Christ, gold's up at 4,000 an ounce. As safe haven demand spiked, Bitcoin volatility has continued, and oil dropped 4% on geopolitical shifts. Chinese stocks tumbled alongside their US counterparts, and Beijing imposing additional retaliatory measures, including special port fees on American vessels, which it came out that the US did the same thing in return shortly after. So what are rare earth elements? And so we talked a little bit about it already. Talked about scandium, yttrium, all these, earth metals that are hard to pronounce. And really the challenge isn't scarcity, it's extraction and processing. These elements require complex, environmentally intensive refinement that China has dominated for decades through massive infrastructure investment. So they're pretty much ahead of the game by far. And this is why it matters for consumer electronics, for renewable energy, and for defense systems. They're really important for precision-guided weapons, radar systems, satellite communications, advanced military technologies, computers, tablets, smartphones, hard drives, display screens, everything you can really think of. And also, they have to do with wind turbines and solar panel manufacturing. So you can see why this would be kind of a problem for us if 90% of this is concentrated, 90% of the supply is concentrated in China, and we don't have our own reserves for this. So the 5 critical impacts, and I won't go into all of these specifically, but supply chains will be disrupted. Semiconductor production specifically, also global tech, for example, will also have some production issues. Price surge is inevitable. So 90% of the supply concentrated in China. There's going to be increases in electronics, renewable energy tech, and defense equipment, and inflation pressure mounting across technological sectors. The geopolitical flashpoints basically is increasing US and China tensions dramatically. Retaliatory measures create risk of broader economic warfare going forward. Defense vulnerability. Hey, if we can't get those rare earth metals, how are we gonna build our equipment? How's the US gonna build out their supply chains? And they might face critical materials shortages. And this is where we need to pay attention there's gonna be an alternative source rush. So there's gonna be accelerated investment in domestic mining, processing infrastructure, and recycling programs. US, Australia, and Canada are all racing to develop independent rare earth capabilities. And so, just one example of this is particularly the White House recently investing about $35 million in Trilogy Metals and a few other companies as well in Alaska. And so, they're starting to leverage equity positions and policy support to secure these domestic supply chains and kind of deconcentrate it from China. Another one was Critical Metals Corp. The Tanbreeze rare earth deposit in Greenland is something they're looking at as well. And so you might see it on here. Trilogy Metals shares surged over 225% following the White House announcement. Just demonstrating explosive investor enthusiasm. So now, guys, I just want to get into a few charts and then we'll be done here. But the first is the VIX, the fear index. You see I have some price levels over here. Got some right in here, right? And you see them on the right there. I have it at 20, 22, 27, and 30. There's a few reasons why I have them there. And those are because those are levels where as the VIX goes higher, it becomes more and more important to start buying stock. I truly believe that the VIX is not just the fear index in a general sense, it's really the fear index for whales. If 90% of the stock is concentrated in 10% of the population, then this fear doesn't indicate what me and you are doing. This fear doesn't indicate how we feel. This indicates how the whales feel, how the elites feel. So when this goes up, and the elites are selling and the whales are selling, this is your chance to get in and to have transfer of wealth in a real sense. So that's something to really pay attention to. If it goes above 30, you're buying hand over fist, and it should be stock. It shouldn't be options. Volatility ruins the option premium, so just keep that in mind. This is the SPY from today, actually. You can see the dip here that happened on Friday. Look how that kind of resembles kind of what happened in here back in April. It's very similar. That was the last time we had a drop in one day that was that to that level. Something else I want to show you as well is these levels. These are levels of support that I believe you might have some consolidation or it might bungee off of some of these levels. So particularly 650, 638, and then around 620 and around there. Unless there's significant macro driving factors that are going to crash it further, you might look to load up on some of your favorite stocks around those points when SPY gets there. So now I want to get into the specific rare earth companies that I believe are kind of the talk of the town right now. The first one being MP Materials Corp. It's one of the largest producers of rare earth materials in the United States. It operates the Mountain Pass mine in California. It's the only rare earth mining and processing facility in North America. And so you can see why people are focusing on this, right? And look at this jump right here. This whole run right here started at $30. It's up now at 98, all the way up to 100. And that was just since July. So definitely making a move. Next one I have is USA Rare Earth. It's developing the Round Top Rare Earth project in Texas, which has a significant amount of rare earth elements. The company is focused on creating a domestic supply chain. As you can see, it's also had that push. Next company I have is Neocorp Developments. It's involved in developing the Elk Creek project in Nebraska, which includes niobium, scandium, and titanium alongside rare earth elements. It's focused on sustainable mining practices and aims to produce a reliable source of critical materials without relying on imports from China. Also got a boost. TMC, the metals company. It's focused on deep-sea mining, specifically the collection of polymetallic nodules that contain nickel, cobalt, copper, and rare earth elements from the sea floor. These nodules are found on the ocean floor, so yeah, a great source for them. It emphasizes environmentally responsible practices in its mining operations, aiming to minimize the ecological impact of seabed mining while providing critical materials for clean technology. And so this is still pre-revenue, this company, but by about 2027, if there are a lot of policy changes, which it seems like the White House is working on, there's a chance that this could go much, much higher. Vale, this is one that I've seen around. It's a Brazilian multinational corporation known for iron ore and nickel production. It's engaged in the production of copper and other minerals, including some rare earth elements. Has a pretty good dividend as well. You might want to check that out. It's investing in technologies to enhance sustainability in its mining processes. And so I've seen a lot of unusual options activity around this one, a lot of money being spent on calls around the 12 strike for December into like mid next year. So just something to have on your watch list. Keep an eye out for it. Trilogy Metals, TMQ. Can you tell where they got their funding? Like, when do you think that was? When do you think they got money from the White House? I don't know. Maybe right here? Maybe on this day? This was the end of September there. And so TMQ is involved in the exploration and development of mineral properties in the US, primarily focusing on copper, cobalt, and other base metals, but it also has potential rare earth element resources. This is the company that got that $35 million from the White House, so something to keep an eye on. LAC. So this is Lithium Americas Corp. It's primarily focused on lithium production. It's involved in the broader context of critical minerals, which involves rare earth elements. The company is developing lithium projects in Argentina and Nevada. The Trump administration has also taken some interest in this company recently. Criminal, just kidding, this is CRML, actually Critical Metals Corp. They're the owner of the Tonbreeze rare earth deposit in Greenland, and the Trump administration has been exploring a possible equity position in this company as well, despite the fact that it's already had this crazy boom. So might want to keep an eye on it for a little bit for this to come back down. And so, if you're not an individual stock picker, then These are just some ideas too. This is an ETF, or a couple of ETFs that kind of get you some exposure to this area. One that I found was Remix. It's Rare Earth Strategic Metals ETF. You get direct exposure to rare earth mining and processing companies globally. I got one. It's called LIT. It's Lithium and Battery Tech ETF, broader critical minerals exposure, which includes lithium producers receiving government backing. That's a good one. If you're more basic, then I got US Basic Materials ETF for you, IYM. And so we'll go into what these look like as well. First one is Remix. This is the one, Critical Minerals ETF. This is LIT for Lithium and Battery Tech. And the last thing I want to leave you with is just an overview of the Fed this week. Basically, Tuesday, Jerome Powell, he spoke. Wednesday, we got CPI data release. Thursday, we got initial jobless claims. And then Friday, we got unemployment data. Some of this could also be hindered by the government shutdown that's ongoing, so take this with a grain of salt. But the bottom line of this video is really the rare earth supply chains. They represent the next critical battleground in US-China relations. And so it's good to start thinking about positions. It's good to start thinking about this industry because it's something that's going to be ongoing for the next few years. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps out. Appreciate your time, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.